Hi guys, it's Anne. Today we're going to be ranking my eyeshadow palettes. I don't have a ton of, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have only 10. Yeah, that's right. Not a whole lot, and I love all of them. So even like the least favorite palette that I have ranked is a palette that I love, and I truly do love each and every one of these. So ranking them was pretty hard, and it's not an exact science. Some of them definitely could be like kind of still switched around, especially like the number 1 palette and the number 10 palette are for sure where they are meant to be, and the ones in the middle I think are like for the most part reflective of how I feel about them. But let's just get right into it. I want to start with number 10, and then we can like get excited about my absolute number 1 favorite. So my least favorite palette that I have, it's not because it's bad, because they're amazing eyeshadows, and I'll tell you why it's my least favorite. And it is this Sugar Pill 6-pan, which I also included my Sugar Pill singles. So I have 10 total eyeshadows from Sugar Pill, and these are what they look like. So in this 6-pan, I have Love Plus, Velocity, Takeo, Buttercup Cake, Kitten Parade, and The Inventor. And then in singles, I have Kimchi, Midori, which is like a green. I feel like, I don't know how well you can see these. Midori is like this beautiful green shade, and then Kimchi is like this kind of teal blue, and then Hotsy Totsy is pink, and then Poison Plum, which is this beautiful purple. And I love these eyeshadows a lot. How are they your least favorite? There's a couple of reasons. The first one is the 6-pan was given to me by an ex, so I kind of have like bad associations with this palette. It was a birthday gift. I asked for this for my birthday for these 4 shades, and then Poison Plum was one of them that I asked for, and then I think it was Dolly Pop, which is the pink, the hot pink, which at the time was not available. He bought me these 2 like instead of those, and these aren't bad eyeshadows, but I wouldn't have chosen them. I don't wear a lot of like, especially these kinds of tones of like gray or silver. And this color is a color that I would wear a lot, but I have it. I mean, it's like a pinky gold shimmer, and it's just not really anything special. For me, where Sugar Pill really shines is their colorful mattes, which is why I wanted like these primary colors. So I went ahead and bought these for myself. These annoy me because of the packaging. I would have had this like vision buy 2 more eyeshadows and then buy another 6-pan from Sugar Pill. None of the shades, like none of the new shades that came out really do anything for me. Now I just have like a lot of other eyeshadow. So the idea of like going out and buying 2 more eyeshadows just to fill a 6-pan is like not appealing to me at all, especially now that I'm on the no buy. The other thing I would like to do, because I'm really not happy with like storing these, to declutter like these 2 shades and one of these so that I could fit them all into the 6-pan, but I don't know which of these I would declutter. And I would probably also declutter Buttercup Cake because I have another big pan of yellow eyeshadow that I love. I would get rid of those 3 and then one of the singles, because the other 3 that are in there are favorites. And I don't know which one of these I would get rid of. I would be sort of tempted to get rid of Hotsy Totsy because it's kind of a weird, like slightly shimmery formula. I don't have another pink eyeshadow that's like anything like that. So I don't really know what to do about my Sugar Pill shadows. I guess I could like get rid of the 3 in the palette that I don't like, depot 3 of them, and then I would only have to store 1 of these like bulky singles, and then maybe I could like love this palette, but then I would just have 1 of them. So I don't know, it's like it becomes a bit of a thing. So that's why it's my least favorite, but again, I would highly recommend Sugar Pill eyeshadows. Number 9 pick is this little 6-pan from Visar. It comes like this. So I don't think you can get these anymore. They were called the Theory palettes, and it's just like a little guy. I think this one is called Cashmere. Yeah, it was like the one that wasn't warm. I wouldn't call this cool toned. It's like a neutral toned little neutral palette with 3 shimmers and 3 mattes. and this is so useful to me, but it just doesn't like light my fire. I bought this at a time when I had gotten rid of like everything I owned. Basically, I went through this phase where I was like obsessed with minimalism. You can actually watch videos from that time in my life that are on my channel. It was all about like fewer nicer things and stuff. So I spent like $45 on this, which I don't necessarily regret, because again, this like works hard in my makeup collection, especially the two lightest shades. This like shimmer shade is my favorite inner corner highlight in my entire collection. It's really gorgeous. And then this matte shade is so useful. All the shimmers in here are really gorgeous, and all the mattes are really useful, so there's nothing wrong with this. For me, it just is not exciting, and you can probably like tell why. So I would not get rid of it. It's just not like as exciting as the ones that I picked as like my favorites. And then the story is pretty similar with my number 8 pick, and that is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I have pan on shades in this too. I have pan on Weekender and Breakaway. The colors in here are gorgeous, and I've done a lot of looks. I love using like these two shades for a look and these two for a look. I love this shade. All of the neutrals are really useful. The shade Punk has like this nice like warmth to it that feels kind of unique. The shade Drift is kind of unique. Smog is a classic Urban Decay shade, so I'm really glad that I have this and I use it really often. But again, it just doesn't like, especially now, this doesn't really make me excited. But again, like if I got rid of this, I would miss it because it's so useful to me. Now we're getting into palettes that are more exciting for me. The Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette, which looks like this. It matches my top kind of. This color story, from the moment it was released, like really just made me feel something, and it still does. It's been out for like, oh, God knows how long, like a long time. I bought it not right when it was released, but I did buy it from Sephora, so I don't think I bought it on like the reformulation. So I think I have the original formula that's like bad. I can really like make these shadows work. I love to use it. You can see I have pan on Edge and Dawn. This palette is just really fun to use. I love using like the New Wave and Edge, the orange and yellow as a look. I love using Rowdy and All-Star and like Cube, which the shimmers in this palette are crazy. Cube and Electric. Adorn is normal, but Cube and Electric are crazy. The formula is wild, but if you just work with them, they go on the eyes and they look really cool. The like teal shades are fun to use. I love using this palette in like the early fall. Like I really think of this as like my September palette because it just has like some really interesting tones, but it's very fall. It is not the easiest to work with. It's not something I reach for all the time. It is definitely like something where I'm like, I have more time to get ready this morning, and it's like the specific time of year to use the Subculture palette. So that's why it's ranked lower. At number 6, I think this is the newest palette to me. I've only had it for a couple months. When I saw it, I gasped. I think I was with my boyfriend and he was like what? Like, are you okay? And because I had like audibly gasped at the sight of this palette. And it is the Melt Cosmetics Muerte palette. The outer packaging alone would have been worth the $58 to me. It's so gorgeous. And the colors inside are just like amazing. Actually, what I have on my eyes today, I have these 3 shades, the blue and then the kind of gray toned color, and then I have the highlight shade in here. This is my first time playing with the blue. Nothing in this palette is like wearable, quick, easy makeup, which is why it's ranked at number 6, especially because the tones are so dark for me. I actually do have some colorful makeup ranked like very, very high, but they're like lighter tones, so they're like just easier to work with and more like something I can do quickly and like on the regular basis. This for me is something that like takes like special care, which is not a bad thing at all, but it makes it something I'm less likely to reach for. But I am so glad that I have this. Some people say that these eyeshadows are not very blendable, and I haven't had that experience. I was really expecting to super struggle with this dark blue shade because it's such dark blue, and I had heard it wasn't blendable, and it blended really well for me. So, and the breads blend beautifully, and they blend beautifully into each other. They work really well together. So far, the only way I've used this palette is kind of like in trios with the teals, the blues, and the reds, and I definitely would like to like combine the colors in more creative ways, but that also feels like intimidating. Number 5, it's like the second newest palette to me. I bought this one during the like late summer of this year, so I only bought 2 eyeshadow palettes in 2019. This was another one where when I saw it, it was like shocking, and I was like, oh, that's like different and exciting and something that I feel like I need. And it also has beautiful packaging, and it just like all fell together for me to get this one, and it is the Lime Crime Venus Immortalis palette. The outside to me is like so beautiful, and it glows in the dark, which is so like my everything. The color story on this is amazing, and some of the shadows are really amazing, and some of them aren't. The shades that I was pretty wowed by are the 2 metallics, which are Hail and Echo. That's Hail. I don't even think it's gonna like truly translate like how metallic and just like impressive these are, but on the eyes they really pack a punch. That's Hail, which is the more kind of like cool bronze one. So those for me are like the standout shades in this palette, and then the mattes are really good. All of the mattes come off on the eyes lighter than they look in the pan, which is not bad in my opinion. The Cameo shade is like the color of my skin, which makes it really useful for me, but I wouldn't think that necessarily by looking at it in this pan. The Ash shade looks kind of like a dark gray in the pan, but it shows up on my eyes like a light gray, and I like that, but it is just something to note. The black doesn't look gray, but it is like a pretty toned down black. For that reason, I find it really easy to work with. And then same thing with Unveil, which is that purpley shade. So all the looks that you end up coming up with from this palette just end up looking more muted than you might expect by looking at them in the pan. And I have loved all the looks that I've created with this, and I find it a lot easier to work with than you might expect. So going back to like the Subculture and the Muerte, this is something that I can reach for like in the morning before work and know that I can bust a look out that will look blended and seamless and beautiful. But if you have like a darker skin tone, or if you just like more like punchy makeup, this might not be the palette for you. I do want to mention Moth and Marble are the 2 like satiny shades. They're right here. Marble is crazy because it swatches terribly, but it shows up really, really beautifully on the eyes. It shows up bright, bright white, almost like white matte, but it has like a little bit of sparkle to it. I like really love that shade. But Moth for me, this one is like kind of the fail of the palette. It's not like worthless. It's like this like weird like kind of pinky satin. When the 2 like amazing metallics are in this palette, I'm like, why, what is she doing there? Like, I don't know. I've seen people kind of use it in the crease because it is like almost matte on the eyes, so you can do that, but then like Cameo does that better, the like matte. Overall, I do really like this palette, and I use it a lot, and I think it's a great way to bring cool tones into a collection where like you don't have them. Norvina palette. She's so pretty. And then the shades look like this. I'm sure you've seen this. I was like going back and forth about buying this palette for months. I think it was like a spring release, and I ended up getting it in October. So I was really not sure if I wanted to get it, but I was really attracted actually to the neutrals in this palette. At the time, I had a lot of bright makeup and not a lot of like staple neutrals. And I loved that this like brought in some of these like beautiful pinks and purples, but also had like the neutrals in here. I still use this all the time. I love the shimmers in this palette. I love doing a look with like Base and Dreamer as the highlights, and then Summer on the lid, Incense, and Eccentric in the crease. That's like one of my go-to looks with this palette. I love using Love and Wild Child, the pink shades. I love using like Dazzling and Rose Gold during the holidays. To me, they just are like such holiday shades. Soul sucks. It doesn't blend well, and it clashes with the other purples in the palette because it's so blue based, and it sucks because it really is like, when you look at this palette, it's like the standout shade, but for me it's like the worst shade of the palette. Definitely love this palette, so it's my 4th favorite, and I reach for it all the time. My 3rd favorite is another Melt palette, and it is the Gemini palette. I actually got this one on the same day as I got Norvina because I had come back from a trip and they both had shipped to me during that time, so that was pretty exciting. This is what she looks like. I don't have pan on Luna. It just broke on me actually really recently, and so I kind of like repressed it, but it didn't press back into that middle part, so just ignore that. Reach for this palette less than Born to Run, less than my little Visor palette. I reach for it less than Venus probably, and definitely less than Norvina. So this isn't a palette that I reach for all the time. Kind of like how I said Subculture was a September palette, this is like a November palette. I love to use this one in the fall. I don't reach for it a ton other times of year, but I just think that there's never been a more beautiful palette than this. It has these awesome greens that are kind of like pukey, like this like pukey yellow color, and then like all the olive greens. And then the neutrals in here also are like amazing, especially the mattes. The Gemini shade, I could like take or leave. It's not bad at all. I love the Melt eyeshadow formula, like I said. I love the outer packaging on this. I really like roses, and especially like the yellow roses with the green kind of like foil writing. I just think is stunning. I do use it a lot. Like, it's not like I don't use it. It's just that it's not like a workhorse in my collection as much as it is like more of like a crown jewel, I guess, if that makes sense. The last two, number 2 and number 1, are the colorful makeup items that I have that I reach for the most. The first one is the Melt Cosmetics Radioactive Stack, which you can't get anymore. There's a radioactive palette, which I've heard mixed things about, and I know a lot of people don't like the stacks. And I haven't, this is the only one I've tried. I just can't help that I love this. I love every single shade. The bright ass orange looks incredible, and then it's got a yellow. This is the shade that would make me okay with decluttering Butter Cupcake because I actually think it's better. And then the pink, it's completely different than Hotsy Totsy, which is why I feel torn about like getting rid of Hotsy Totsy or whatever. You can even see like in the pan, they are like completely different. So just wanted to mention that, but this is an amazing like neon pink. And then this is like everything to me. I love using a color like this in the inner corner. I love using any of these as like a one shadow look just all over the lid and blend it out. I do that all the time in the spring and summer. That's like how I wear my makeup. I don't love the stack packaging because people are right, like the magnets aren't super strong. You have to be kind of careful with like how you handle them when you have them out, because you can like damage the shadows if you aren't careful, just like with the packaging. So I understand that this isn't the most practical packaging. I would never like throw this in a bag because I just would not trust the magnets, but it's so fun. I don't know, like I love seeing this thing and knowing that it's like has these amazing like neon eyeshadows inside of it when I look at my storage. So I don't know what to tell you. I just like truly love this, and it sucks that it's like not available, but I am glad that all of the shadows are still available. My number 1 favorite eyeshadow palette is it's the only eyeshadow palette that I have that if I panned the shades that I love in it, I would buy it again. I would like rebuy the exact palette. It's creepy cute, from newly renamed Shroud Cosmetics. My palette says Strobe Cosmetics, that's what they used to be called. This just makes me so happy. When I'm like major minimalism phase of life still, I was like, I want just some like pops of color. Like, I'm bored with my makeup. Still is my most reached for piece of colorful makeup. The gray and the black that are in here are great shadows. I don't reach for them very often. The colorful shades are really what I'm in it for. Specifically, you may be able to tell the third eye, the orange, and Take a Hint, the lime, have major pan in them. I use those just as my one eyeshadow look all the time. And third eye, just all over the lid blended out, is like a neutral look. It like is just simple makeup, but it's kind of got like a bit of a extra punch to it. It looks so good in like the summer. And then Take a Hint is like that super fun green shade. Planchette is amazing. I don't know why I like don't wear purple makeup that often, especially lavender. It feels like hard for some reason for me, but it's gorgeous. And then Creep It Real, the teal, is gorgeous. Cold Shoulder is like my third favorite after the two that I have giant pan on. It is amazing in terms of pigmentation. Like, for these to be pastel shades and as pigmented as they are and as blendable as they are, I don't know how they did it. It feels like some kind of sorcery. And then Strawberry Milk, obviously. Strawberry Milk is another one where you can wear it and it almost like looks like neutral makeup. It's just like a super beautiful like pale pink. All these work well. Angelica Nyqvist talks about using these as like transition shades for colorful looks. So like if you were using something like Hotsy Totsy, you could use Strawberry Milk in the to like get it to blend out in the transition. But I think these make beautiful full eye looks paired with each other or just on their own, like I was saying. For me, that is the way that I love to do colorful makeup that is quick and easy. How could it not be your favorite when it like looks like this on the outside too? It's just so cute and beautiful. So that is all of my eyeshadow palettes and my like feelings about them and the ranking of them. It's definitely not a huge eyeshadow palette collection, but it's more than I need. It's more than enough for me. Let me know if you have any of the same palettes as me and if you feel differently about them than me or the same. And also just like let me know your favorite eyeshadow palette that you have. And I'll talk to you guys really soon. I can't wait. Be sure to like this video and maybe subscribe if you want to see future videos from me, because I can't wait to talk to you again really soon. Bye.